Hey guys, welcome back to Medical Coding with Blue. Today's episode is all about realistic expectations for new medical coders. If you're brand new to my channel, welcome. I am Blue, I'm a medical coder. Okay guys, first things first. Everybody's journey in medical coding is different. Doesn't matter where you got your training, doesn't matter where you are in the US, it does not matter. Everybody's journey is going to be different. But what I'm going to talk about today are some of the things that I've been getting comments on that brand new people without any experience, this is what they want, this is why they're getting into the field, and I want you guys to know that this is a reality check, okay? There's some of these things that people are asking for that they want, and they will stop at nothing to get this, right? But it's just not realistic in the beginning for brand new medical coders. You have to understand that when you're getting into this field requires a lot of knowledge to begin with right out of the gate. And so you're not going to see a return on your investment of time and money right away sometimes. Sometimes you will, sometimes you won't. Sometimes it's going to take you going into alternative positions other than medical coding to get into medical coding so that you can get some of those transferable experiences. Like if you're starting off in medical billing, if you're starting off in prior authorizations, if you're starting off with risk adjustment coding, these are all different things that you can do in order to get yourself some experience that's relatable to coding so that you can have those transferable skills for your resume. But with that said, the thing about getting into this field is there's going to be things that you're going to learn with time, and there's going to be levels that you're going to level up, whether it's the amount of money that you're making or the type of coding that you're doing. It's going to level up with time. If you're expecting these things right out of the gate, because I hear people talk about ridiculously high amounts of money that they want to make right out of the gate. No, rule number one that on my channel is we don't talk about money in specifics. And the reason that we don't talk about money in specifics on my channel is because every place in the US pays their coders differently when they're first starting out because the cost of living is different everywhere. But you can go to the Department of Labor or the Bureau of Statistics and get the reasonable amount that a medical coder starts off at in your area, specific to you. It's because a lot of these schools, these really fast-paced medical coding schools will try to sell you on high numbers, and they say, oh yeah, medical coders make up to, and they give some ridiculously high amount. What they don't tell you is that up to means that it's really on the high end, and that's usually what people who have experience make. They never say how much medical coders make when they're starting out, okay? So some do, and again, some of those numbers that they have, I've seen is just ridiculously high because they're trying to sell a program. That's what they're trying to do, all right? I'm not sitting here trying to sell a medical coding program, all right? But what I am telling you guys is this: to have realistic expectations when you finish the school, when you get your certification and you're out there applying. If you're being turned down for these medical coding positions, maybe you are applying for these medical coding positions, they're giving you a proficiency test and you're not passing. That says that you need to study more. The workbooks that I recommend are in the description box below. It covers ICD-10-CM, CPT, and ICD-10-PCS. So you can get plenty of practice if you're working with those workbooks. Because don't think that just getting your certification makes you automatically job ready. It does not, especially if you went through a fast-paced medical coding school. There's a good chance you're going to need a lot more practice with those workbooks before you really start being able to be given a chance when you're getting out there and you're applying. Okay, so if you're not able to get in, again, start off in one of those alternative positions. Don't be so stubborn and headstrong about, oh, you only want to start in a coding position. You only want to do this type of coding, or you only want to work in this type of place. You can apply many different places, right? There's different places that have, openings for medical coders. I recommend staying away from recruiters, and you'll see them on there. Oh, we're recruiting for. I never recommend those because really they are a waste of time, especially for brand new medical coders. Recruiters are really headhunters, and they get paid for bringing the client people who fit the parameters of whatever that they're setting, right? And so if you are not filling those parameters, they are not going to call you back, and you are basically wasting your time. I've seen people all over LinkedIn argue with these recruiters because they say, well, I sent you my resume and you didn't respond, and that kind of this and that and a bunch of other things. And guys, it's just making you look bad when you do things like that. Apply for your area hospitals, or apply for your area urgent care centers. Any place that has medical coders is where you want to apply. And sometimes, you know, the medical coders are going to be listed under different names. So that's something that you really need to keep in mind, okay? So when you're out there and you're looking and they say that we're hiring for, you know, outpatient medical coder, and that's what you're applying for, you take their test and you pass their test, and they say, okay, well, we're going to go ahead and give you a chance. All right, great. The realistic expectation in this instance is don't expect them to train you. Because if they give you a chance because you passed a proficiency test, they're going to say, okay, this person knows good enough in order to get in. So when you get involved with this medical record or the electronic medical record that you're going to be working with, and now you're starting to have questions, try to find the answers on your own first before running to your lead or to your supervisor or somebody that's supposed to be there working with you. Try to do your research first before going to them, because of the simple fact that medical coding is a very independent sport, and we are expected to know a lot of things, okay? So this is just, it comes with the territory, guys. A lot of people do learn on their own. I learned on my own, as did many other medical coders. So if you want to be successful in this field and take it seriously, you should congratulate yourself that you got in the door someplace, and that you are working, and that you can learn a lot from where you are. Now, if this place is not paying you what you think that you're worth, or they're paying you too low in your opinion, you can continue to apply for other jobs while you're working there. Guys, you're able to do that. But again, take the experience and take the time to learn what they can help you to learn, whether it is adding on the skill of your new electronic medical record knowledge, or, you know, whatever specialty that they have you in, okay? That's an expectation you should have, right? Which is that you have to apply yourself when you're learning these things. And then when you're not happy where you are, or you don't think it's a good fit for you, it's okay to continue to look for another job while you are in that job, so that way you can continue on to whatever place is better for you. All right, that's something that you should you know, apply yourself in doing, right? The other thing is, don't expect for them to be holding your hand and telling you how to work a particular specialty. That you have to learn to do your own research. A lot of people struggle with the productivity in the beginning, right? Because you're learning the electronic medical record, you're learning the providers and their documentation for that particular specialty. But the one thing that you can do to help mitigate all of that confusion and uncertainty is learning what type of procedures are done in that particular specialty. You can go to a website that's for that particular clinic, right? Something that is related to that. When I was moved over to pulmonary a few years ago to rescue them, I went to the American Lung Association so that I could learn and do a bunch of research, because I had never worked in a pulmonary clinic specifically, right? I had seen, of course, pulmonary diagnoses working in the Profi clinic, but I had never worked in the clinic setting for pulmonary. So that helped me learn a lot about, you know, the different procedures that they do, and of course about learning the lung disease process, right? So that was very helpful for me. So that would be something that I would recommend for all of you. That's just an expectation that you should have, is learning to do your research, all right? The other expectation, or realistic expectation, that you should have is that you need to work the hours that they say that they want you there. There's a lot of people under the misconception that think, oh, well, I want to do this part-time and I want to work whatever hours I want to. Guys, this is not something that we can do just whatever willy-nilly, especially in the beginning. The providers are oftentimes needing to be queried. Sometimes they need you to be available so that you can answer questions that the provider has about the coding, you know, or whatever the case may be. And before you hyperventilate and say, oh no, Blue, I'm brand new. Guys, they expect you to know because you passed a proficiency test, which is that medical coding certification. They expect you to know. And that's the thing why I say these fast-paced medical coding programs make me nuts because it's rushing people through and just trying to barely show them the way, and then they're expected to figure it out, and so that's the thing. You really have to concentrate on your training when you are getting into this field. That's just my advice anyway. But yes, so you have to be willing to work those hours. Again, there's people that say, well, I want to work whenever I want to work, and it's not that way, guys. You have to work the hours that they say. If you look in the job listings, a lot of times they will tell you candidate must be available between this time and this time. So that's why they say, this is what they offer, okay? And if you're trying to get into this to work part-time, because maybe you have a full-time job and you want to do medical coding part-time. Medical coding in the beginning is not something that you can do part-time because you need to have time to learn it. This is a full-time learning process. This is not something that, I'm just going to learn this from a book and then I'm going to get my certification and then I'm going to do this part-time. Yes, before somebody comments, oh yes, I do it part-time. Okay, yeah, that's you. But that's not every brand new medical coder, okay? It's not every brand new medical coder. And so again, we want realistic expectations. If you're going to get into medical coding, expect to do it full-time. Don't expect to do it part-time, okay? It doesn't matter what your situation is, because when you get hired on as a brand new medical coder, these companies are going to know that you don't have experience yet. And because of this, they know they're going to have to take some time to work with you. You're going to take some time to get up to speed. So they're going to get about half of the work out of you. This is why when you look at these job listings for part-time medical coders, they do require experience because they want somebody who can just be dropped in and boom, they're ready to go. So that's the thing that, again, having that realistic expectation of, working the time that they say to work is really, really key. Working remotely for brand new medical coders. So I talk about this all the time in my channel, right? I say that working remotely is not a great place for brand new medical coders to start, because you really do need that mentorship. You need that one-on-one interaction with veteran coders. You need to have the time in the facility to have your questions answered and to be around the providers, be around the environment, get to know things before you start working at home. Now, there's some people that do get hired to work at home and they will say, well, I'm being told that I will have like 3 months on the job site and then I'll be released to work at home. That's okay. That's okay, because that gives you time to be able to ask questions and you're not going to feel so lost when you first start. Because when you're working at home remotely, you are going to have their computer sent to you. 99% of the time, they're going to give you a computer to work with. So you will have their equipment. And again, you're going to have to learn about the ins and outs of the system and everything. So being on site is going to be a lot easier for a brand new person rather than being at home and like, okay, you sink or swim time. You got to do this, however you do it. But that's the thing. Okay. So I don't want to sound at the risk of sounding like a broken record, right? Guys, for brand new medical coders, I'm always going to encourage you guys to be on site, learn it, and then try to find a remote medical coding job. Before the pandemic, you were not even going to be looked at unless you had 3 to 5 years of experience before working remotely. And there's always going to be some people that are going to argue with me about this. And you can, if you want to, you're going to get blocked. But that's the thing, guys. I'm telling you this so that this is stuff that, I would hope that somebody would share with me as a brand new medical coder, because people who say these things are people that are trying to sell programs. They're trying to sell the product of being a medical coder. So they're going to tell you everything that you want to hear, right? And so, guys, that's the thing. I want people to be set up for success, not for failure. And I think that, if you just, get thrown into the deep end of the pool and, hey, yeah, you've got to code all this stuff and we expect you to know all these things. And, oh, yeah, by the way, you're going to be by yourself. You know, again, I'm just trying to set you guys up for success. That's all I'm trying to do. Okay. Traveling around. I get this question also. Oh, Blue, I want to get into an RV and I want to be able to connect to Wi-Fi and do this on the road. No, 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 no. Because when you are working remotely, you have to be in a secure location so that people don't see your screen. You're not connecting to Wi-Fi all willy-nilly. And again, guys, I'm telling you what, I've worked in 2 different places and they were very strict about not connecting to Wi-Fi. You had to be connected to a secure internet connection, period. They were not making any bones about it. I mean, you had to be in a secure internet connection. So no, if you think you're going to be able to get into an RV and go travel around and do this, again, guys, this is not for you, all right? This is for people who are going to go with the rules, and these are the things that you can expect, all right? It's the same thing for folks that are retired in a different country and they want to work for a US-based company. I talked about this the other night, guys. There's rules about that. And I left a link for people who work overseas, right? For American-based companies and live abroad. I've talked about that, guys. It's just not a good idea for brand new medical coders. It's not a good idea for any medical coder, really, okay? So again, that's just what I want to share on my channel, is that I want you guys to be set up for success, have realistic expectations getting in this, meaning that you want to be on site. You want to work the time that they say that you're going to work. And then if they train you on site and they send you home, that's great, because at least you're going to have that one-on-one interaction before you start working at home by yourself. Okay. And that's just what I'm going to say on that. But know that you're going to have some times where you're going to fall because you're learning something new. But it's not a reason to give up. It's not a reason to get frustrated with the process. It's just a reason to dig deep and do more studying and that kind of thing, because that's what it takes. It takes effort and study, and it takes persistence. And that's exactly what all it is. It's just persistence. If you're out there looking for a job, you know, you think everybody's going to welcome you with open arms. They're not, because that's just the way that the industry is, unfortunately. And I say it's also due to these fast-paced medical coding schools that are turning out coders that are not properly trained. You know, they say that there's a nationwide shortage of medical coders. I say there's actually a nationwide shortage of qualified medical coders, because even though you have your certification, it doesn't necessarily mean that you know enough. Because there are some really fast medical coding schools that teach those exam tricks on how to pass the exam. They don't really teach you the fundamentals very much on medical coding. It's more of, this is how you pass the exam, which I think is wrong, because again, you're sending people who are ill prepared out into the world to be medical coders. And it's difficult for them to find a job because of it. So again, yes, there is a nationwide shortage, but you coming in with a lot of knowledge and telling them the things that you are knowledgeable about, and if they're desperate enough, they'll give you a chance. But you want to make sure that they know that the decision they made to hire you was a good one. All right. And the only way you're able to do that is by applying yourself continually and still continuing to study, and not get frustrated because you can't find a job. Don't depend on these sleazy recruiters either, because again, they are not concerned with why you're trying to get into the field. They are concerned with being headhunters and getting the client what the client wants. They're not going to waste time with somebody who's new. All right. That's just my advice anyway. And applying for these alternative positions, getting registered with a temp agency. And I'm not listening to any more people who want to fight me about the temp agency, guys. That was how I got my start. Temp agencies don't require you to be having experience, right? Because they are there to fill a need by a company that needs somebody. So that company is going to depend on that temp agency to supply them with a medical coder, all right? And if you can pass the temp agency's, their assessment test, you know, then they're going to try to advocate for you to get a job somewhere too. So that's another person that is on the hunt for a job for you. And that's another person that's going to be out there looking for a job, because if you're working, that means they're making money. all right? And they're not going to call you in for a medical coding job for only one day. Typically, when they call you in for a medical coding job, it's going to be for a few months, or maybe a month, or maybe 6 months, or, you know, whatever, because they want to make sure that, you know, they're going to have contracts or whatever, or maybe it's just a temp to perm job, you know, whatever, because they want to test the person out rather than having to go through all of those things. They go through the temp agency, get somebody, and then if they like them, they stay on. If they don't, hey, this person isn't a good fit. Can you send somebody else? And then there they go. But you will never get that opportunity if you don't apply with the temp agency. So at least that's my advice anyway. Before you ask me, you can Google temporary agencies for medical professionals in your area. And that is where you will see all of those ones come up. I did that for the city of Dallas. And sure enough, they were just popping all up. And they had temp agencies that had openings for medical professionals and for medical administrative staff. So there's a lot of opportunities out there when you register with the temp agency. So I'm just saying that's another way to go. But sometimes people want to argue against it because they don't think that that's going to work. As a veteran coder who has been there, done that, got a t-shirt, I say it works because that's what I went through. You know, I got 2 jobs with the temp agency, and that second job is what led me to my forever home. So it worked for me. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. Thank you guys so much for joining me. If this video helped you, I hope that you will like, subscribe, and share, and I will see y'all next time. Bye.